Today, I will tell you about how, long ago, when there were no stars or galaxies in the universe, it was inhabited by black dragons. In the dark universe, where there was no light, the dragons were invisible, except for their glowing green eyes, which dimmed as they aged. However, if anyone disturbed an adult dragon, it would turn its head, and its eyes would briefly light up with a menacing green glow before fading again. Soon after, it would calm down, and its eyes would dim once more. The little dragons loved to play, catching cosmic ice and colorful meteors. They would suck on the ice like we suck on lollipops, and play tag with the meteors, making sure not to disturb their parents. The adult dragons never did anything. They simply existed, knowing neither love nor hate, nor care. As the little ones grew up, they got tired of playing tag and sucking ice. And since the dragons had no schools, they didn't know what else to do. Having lost interest in games, they simply stopped playing. Without a purpose, they joined their parents, and their fiery green eyes slowly lost their glow. One day, a little dragon named Tosha caught an unusual blue-green meteor. He thought it was ice and put it in his mouth, accidentally swallowing it. His tail trembled with fear and tightly coiled around his body. Soon, his skin began to glow with the same blue-green hue. All the young dragons quickly gathered around him, admiring his new look. One dragon in particular, a girl dragon named Dosha, was glowing with happiness, wagging her tail playfully, and constantly trying to stroke Tosha's shining skin.
What if we all swallowed meteors of different colors?
Dosha suggested. And, skillfully catching an orange meteor that flew by, she swallowed it. To everyone's delight, her skin also began to change color, turning bright orange. Tosha looked at her in awe. When he swallowed the meteor, he was scared. But Dosha was so fearless. And so beautiful. The other little dragons followed her lead. With excitement, they flew off in all directions, catching colorful meteors and swallowing them. Soon, a new tribe of multicolored dragons appeared, calling themselves the Aurorites. The black dragons had grown so accustomed to doing nothing that the joyful cries of the younger generation began to annoy them. And when the youth all started glowing in different shades, the black dragons furiously bulged their green eyes at them. They didn't like this idea at all. Never before in their endless existence had they experienced such chaos.
This commotion will lead to no good.
An old dragon lazily roared.
Respectable dragons play tag and then rest in silence and darkness. This nonsense must be stopped.
And so began the conflict between the two tribes. The young, vibrant dragons started calling their gloomy elders Obsidraki, symbolizing the growing divide that could no longer be bridged. One of the dragons' favorite activities was giving each other massages. They would groan and sigh with pleasure as invisible and intangible energy flowed over their scales and wings. One day, Tosha accidentally discovered that by focusing this raw energy on the tips of his claws, he could shape it into a glowing ball. Tosha was astonished. He could hardly believe how easily he had created a shining sphere. He began to play with it, tossing it from his paws to his tail and back. He became so absorbed in it that he accidentally squeezed the ball in his fist with such force that it suddenly flared up and turned into a star. Stunned, Tosha rushed to share his discovery with his friend, Dosha.
Look what I made,
he exclaimed. Dosha gasped in delight.
Tosha, you're a wizard. Now we can light up our vast dark universe and make it bright and beautiful.
All the Aurorites eagerly supported Dosha's idea and developed a plan they called the Cosmic Forge. The Aurorites flew across the universe, gathering cosmic energy scattered throughout its expanse. Once they had accumulated enough energy, they compressed it into a dense, glowing core. The pressure and heat inside this core would build up until, with a final breath, the Aurorites would make it flare up, transforming it into a shining star. This star would shine as brightly as 1,000 suns, illuminating the dark reaches of space. Afterward, Tosha would carefully place the star in the sky, ensuring it fit harmoniously among the other stars, forming constellations. Each star the dragons forged was unique, with its own color and brightness, reflecting the mood and intentions of the dragon at the moment of its creation. Over time, the sky filled with these stars, transforming the once dark universe into a bright and colorful place. The gloomy and evil Obsidraki wanted to bring back the darkness.
How can we do that?
Thought the chief Obsidrak, named Gloom. Then, he slowly rose and, with a loud roar, announced his plan to the Obsidraki.
Listen to me, I am Gloom.
He woke up everyone with a boom.
We need to send the young ones out to gather cosmic dust around. We'll roll it up into a ball and make a nightmare for them all. We'll spin it fast, round and build a black hole in the ground. Like a giant vacuum, it will pull all the chaos into the dark and dull. The Aurorites brought this mess and ruined our peace, no less. Let the light go away and darkness rise. We'll bring back night and still the skies.
The young Obsidraki scattered throughout the universe, gathering many stones and meteorite fragments. They twisted them into a giant black ball and began pushing it, making it spin faster and faster. The ball gained speed and turned into a massive cosmic vortex, which started swallowing light and stars.
Now we have a black hole.
Gloated Gloom.
The light is out, darkness shall reign. No stars, no light, let shadows gain.
He chanted with satisfaction, yawned, and fell asleep. The Aurorites were deeply upset, watching their hard work go to waste. They began to darken and transform into Obsidraki. But Dosha, Tosha's faithful friend, refused to give up.
Don't despair, Tosha. You must stay bright, for your light brings joy to all of us.
She gently wrapped her tail around him and softly swayed, giving him the warmth of her soul. Tosha sighed and said,
"But what can I do? Darkness is growing inside me."
His blackened tail drooped lifelessly, like a branch broken by a storm. He felt the darkness consuming his heart, but Dosha's words were like a ray of light, piercing deep into his soul. A fire sparkled in her green eyes.
Listen to your heart, Tosha. You are the bravest and kindest dragon. Rise up, spread your wings, and show the other Aurorites that light can defeat the darkness.
And Tosha rose. Summoning all the strength he had left, he straightened his tail, aiming it forward like an arrow, and roared.
Aurorites, wake up and rise. It's time to meet and organize. I'll be your leader, strong and true, together. We'll find what to do. Aurorites, stand in line. We'll face the black hole. It's our time. We must win. No time to rest. No more lying down. Let's do our best. Aurorites, who's with me, to fight the quiet, colorless sea? Let our new world, young and bright, sing with joy and shine with light. We'll spread stars across the sky and bring our world back, reaching high. Forget the dark, let light appear, with comet tails that shine so clear. Let bright stars chase away the night. And those who forgot, sleep tight. May their tails wither, no more boast, and turn dark, that silly host. Aurorites, never give in, we laugh at laziness, we win. Nothing can stop us, our goal is clear. As strong as diamonds, no need to fear.
The Aurorites continued to build stars, planets, and moons with great determination. The Obsidiarchy were furious. Their single black hole couldn't handle all the stars that disturbed their sleep. They were forced to create another black hole, and then another, and another. But being lazy, their work progressed slowly. So, if you look at the night sky today, you'll see countless stars, reminding us that light always triumphs over darkness. And that's how it all began, my friend. The small blue-green dragon, Tosha, grew up to become the Grand Vizier Tosha. He organized the leadership and appointed the most loyal Aurorites as his helpers. Among them were the Keeper of Knowledge, responsible for educating the young dragons; the Galactic Architect, in charge of designing galaxies; the Stargazer, responsible for creating and tracking stars; the Lunar Master, responsible for creating planets and moons; the Star Painter, responsible for lighting stars in different colors. You've probably guessed that Dosha became the Star Painter. Grand Vizier Tosha and Star Painter Dosha worked for millions of years, creating the universe as we see it today. Under their guidance, the dark and empty universe transformed into a vibrant and lively world, where every corner sparkled with stars and light, created with love and care. They had many dragon children, each of a different color, because Dosha loved to paint everything around her. Some dragons were solid-colored, while others had patterns. For example, their 154th son was lavender with blue stripes, and their 2005th daughter was pink with red polka dots. Dosha adored her children, no matter if they were grown dragons or still little ones. Dosha and Tosha had long since become great-grandparents because we're talking about dragons who live in space, where things are quite different from Earth. One of the youngest dragon children was a little girl dragon named Vitalira, whom Dosha had named. There was something incredibly beautiful and unusual about her. Her parents noticed that her scaly skin often changed color depending on her mood. Her wings were adorned with patterns as if they belonged to an undiscovered galaxy. And her breath turned into a warm, light green mist that seemed to be alive. This mist would gradually darken, turning deep green, then yellow, and finally dissolve into the universe.
Vitaliara is a miracle child.
Dosha would say to Tosha, wrapping her tail around him.
She has a special gift that no one else has ever had.
Tosha smiled.
What are you saying? What kind of gift?
His tail curled into a question mark.
Don't laugh, Tosha. She'll surprise you so much. Your tail will tie itself in a knot.
And how is she going to surprise me?
He asked curiously.
Have you ever wondered why only dragons live in the universe?
Who else would live here?
Tosha didn't understand.
I don't know, but imagine other beings. For example, without a tail or, on the contrary, with several tails.
How would they sweep the dust without a tail?
Tosha chuckled.
And it would be inconvenient with several tails. You're such a dreamer, Dosha.
We'll see who's right,
Dosha said, gently touching the top of his head with her tail. Do you think Dosha was right when she said that Vitalira was a miracle child? Of course. A mother always knows with her heart. One day, Tosha took Vitalira with him to inspect one of the galaxies the Aurorites had recently built, which they named the Milky Way. Along the way, he told his daughter about galaxies, stars, and planets. Deciding to show her one of the planets up close, Tosha stopped near a small blue planet. Vitalia gazed at it with delight and suddenly began to sing, cheerfully wagging her tail.
I fly through space, far and wide, and make the planets bright with pride. Here's a planet, big and blue. Oh, what a pretty view. I'll give this planet life to grow, with plants and creatures down below. I'll name it Earth, that's what I'll do. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la. Here's some grass, and here's a flower, a tree that grows taller by the hour. Here's a cricket, here's a bee, and a river flowing free. I'll fill the river with fish to swim, and build a nest for a bird within. My work is done, hip hip hooray. Tra-la-la-la-la-la-la.
She gently blew on it, and to Tosha's surprise, the planet began to turn green, as if it had come to life. Grass appeared, along with tiny creatures.
Look, daughter. What funny little dragons you've created.
These aren't dragons, Dad, they're insects. Now I know what I want to do. I will sow life on barren planets, plants, animals, and intelligent beings.
Yes, Dasha. You were right. What Vitalia has shown me was so amazing, I nearly lost my tail from the shock.
And so it went. Vitalia traveled across the universe, breathing life onto barren planets with her warm breath. For this, she was forever remembered in the history of the universe as the Mother of Life. But what happened to the Obsidiarchy? Oh, my friend, the Obsidiarchy didn't like how much light had filled the universe. They were lazy and had no appreciation for beauty. So, they gathered gangs of young dragons. These dragons had once played tag millions of years ago but had long forgotten about the game. Instead, they found a new pastime. They formed groups and hurled large meteorites at beautiful planets or their moons, which would then explode and scatter across the universe. Or they attacked lone Aurorites if they encountered them. Sometimes, they even intercepted space stations and ships, which were becoming more frequent in the universe. Yes, that's right. Space stations and ships. Vitalia had sown life in many galaxies, and on many planets, civilizations had arisen that learned to travel through space. The young Obsidiarchy hooligans often captured such spaceships and destroyed them. Knowing about the dangerous Obsidiarchy hooligans, Vitalia never traveled alone. She was always accompanied by her younger brother, with whom she was very close. He was the strongest and bravest green dragon, and his name was Grinadar. Dragons told legends about Grinadar. He was so strong and agile that he could defeat entire hordes of troublemakers. No one knew how he managed to do it. Only Vitalia knew his secret, which is why she always felt safe when he was around. So, you curious to know his secret? Of course, you are. Then listen closely. Grinadar was the youngest child of Tosha and Dasha. He was born a small black dragon with a big head and a tiny tail.
Dasha, we should stop having more children.
Tosha said regretfully.
We're already getting old. Just look at his tail, it's like a button. How will he live with such a tail?
Tasha, stop it. But he has a big head. He'll probably be very smart.
Dasha replied and playfully swatted her husband with her tail. And as you've probably guessed, Dasha was, as always, right. Grinadar was curious and loved Dragon School, where he asked such difficult questions that no teacher could answer them. He quickly mastered all the school subjects and then set off on a journey through the universe, studying it on his own, always humming his favorite song, which he composed himself.
I'm a little dragon, with a big head, and my tail's like a tiny bug. Funny and misread. But I'm clever and smart, I want to learn so much, so I can help my friends, and keep them out of trouble's touch. Let people laugh, I don't mind, their gossip won't make me blind. I'll grow up strong and wise one day, a hero in every way. I'll fly into the big, wide space, and learn about every place. I'll stop the bullies in their tracks, and bring happiness that never lacks.
He traveled for a long time, and during that time he grew, became strong, agile, and the smartest dragon, uncovering many secrets of the universe. Grinadar learned to generate an energy charge at the tips of his claws, which turned into a star web woven from ethereal threads. The star web quickly expanded in all directions, capturing any number of enemies. Once all the enemies were trapped, the threads tightened, absorbing their energy, weakening the enemy while simultaneously strengthening the web. The star web was almost invisible, so no one understood how Grinadar managed to defeat enemies on his own. One day, during one of his journeys, Grinadar and Vitalia noticed strange movement in the distance. A dark cloud was swirling like a green fiery wheel, speeding toward them, emitting a piercing whistle. Grinadar tensed, his sharp eyes flashed, and his tail straightened, pointing forward like a spear.
It's the Obsidraki surrounding someone's spaceship. They want to destroy it?
He said, his voice full of resolve and anger.
Wait here. I'll be back soon.
Vitalia's heart raced as she saw Grinadar, full of determination, flap his mighty wings and rush forward like a meteor. She knew he was strong, but his bravery always filled her with admiration. Meanwhile, the Obsidraki, spinning in their whirlwind of destruction, noticed Grinadar approaching. At that moment, the air around them seemed to thicken, and dark energy enveloped the space. The hooligans let out a threatening roar, but inside, panic was growing. They knew who they were up against. The green fiery wheel slowed down, losing its former confidence. Grinadar charged into the heart of the darkness, and the Obsidraki, paralyzed by fear, scattered. With one sweep of his claws, Grinadar unleashed his star web, which, like a nightmare, instantly ensnared the fleeing enemies. The invisible threads wove around them, absorbing their strength and rendering their pitiful attempts to resist futile. Weakened and defeated, they hung in weightlessness, trembling helplessly.
Well, boys, had your fun?
Grinadar said loudly, his voice echoing in the void.
Now hang here for 5 million years, and then we'll see how you behave.
With a sharp motion, he shook them out of the web like trash, leaving them to float among the stars. Grinadar turned to the spaceship, which was still slightly spinning in place. He carefully brought it closer to his face for a detailed look. In front of him was a capsule, almost entirely made of glass. Inside, behind the transparent walls, was a tiny living being, unlike anything he'd ever seen before. It had neither wings nor a tail, like dragons. Instead, it had a small head with large blue eyes, a little pink mouth, and a button-like nose. Its head turned left and right, until finally, it stopped and met Grindar's enormous green eyes.
Who are you?
A tiny voice squeaked from inside the capsule.
I'm Grindar, the Keeper of Order. And who are you?
I'm Eartha. That's what my parents named me after our planet, Earth. Please speak more quietly, your loud voice is making all my instruments go haywire.
All right.
Grindar whispered, lowering his voice to a barely audible bass.
I've heard of your planet. My sister, who gave life to it, told me about it.
Interesting. I've never seen dragons before, so big, friendly, and talking.
Eartha smiled.
I've never seen a wonder like you either.
Grindar replied with a soft smile.
You're so small and not even afraid of me. And yet, I'm the strongest and most dangerous dragon in the universe.
I'm not afraid because I can see that you're kind.
At that moment, Vitalia flew up to them, her eyes glowing with curiosity.
What do you have here?
She asked, stopping nearby.
A miracle.
Grindar said proudly, showing Eartha.
This tiny creature came here from the planet Earth.
Wow! Let me see.
Vitalia leaned over the capsule, examining its contents.
Hi there.
They talked for a while, marveling at one another. Then Vitalia, remembering her important mission, suggested taking Eartha along and getting to know her better later. After Vitalia finished her tasks, she and Grindar headed back to the Realm of Light, their cozy refuge in the vastness of the universe, where the oldest stars shone brightly and their large, loving family lived. As they flew through the silent cosmos, Eartha sat comfortably in her glass capsule, resting in Grindar's palm, gazing at the endless stars.
Sometimes I wonder if I'm too small for this universe,
she said quietly.
But then I remember that even the smallest stars shine the brightest.
Grindar looked down at her, his usually stern eyes softening.
You're not small, Eartha. You are unique. And without you, this vast universe would be missing something precious.
She smiled, and her heart warmed at his words.
And without you, Grindar, I wouldn't feel so safe in this big, scary place.
Eartha gazed thoughtfully at the distant lights in space. Her small eyes gleamed with curiosity, but there was also a hint of sadness hidden within them.
What are you thinking about?
Grindar asked softly, gently bringing his hand with Eartha's closer to his face. She looked at him and smiled, though it was barely noticeable.
I'm thinking about home,
she admitted.
About Earth. I miss my parents, the places where I grew up. Space is amazing, but it's so vast and lonely. Sometimes it feels like I'm lost in this endless space.
Grindar pondered, feeling his heart grow heavy from her words. He wasn't used to experiencing such emotions, the desire to protect, comfort, and perhaps even keep her close.
You're not alone,
he said, trying to make his voice gentle.
I'm with you. And as long as I'm here, no danger in this cosmos will touch you.
Eartha looked at him, and a spark of gratitude flickered in her eyes.
Thank you, Grindar,
she said quietly.
I feel safer when you're around. You're like my guiding star through the darkness.
Grindar felt his tail betray him by wagging. Those words reached deep into his soul, warming it. He realized that Eartha's become something much more to him than just a friend or a traveler from a distant world. She was a light in his life, just like the stars he created.
And you are my light, Eartha,
he finally replied.
I'll always be by your side, no matter how much time passes.
They hurried back to their parents, Dosha and Tosha, to show them the tiny miracle in the glass capsule.
Mom! Dad! Do you remember that very first planet I gave life to? Look at this wonder!
Vitalia exclaimed with delight. Grindar opened his hand, and the parents saw the tiny, charming creature.
Hello,
Eartha said politely, waving her little hand.
It talks?
Tosha said, astonished, and his tail shot up so high that a passing meteor smacked into it with a loud thump, leaving a hole.
Ow, not again.
Tosha cried, grabbing his tail.
Why today of all days?
Tasha,
Dosha scolded him.
how many times have I told you to keep your tail in check when talking to Vitaliara and Grindar? or you'll lose it one day. You know how they are.
Suddenly, they heard a bright, infectious laugh from the glass capsule. Athos was laughing so adorably that Grinda's tail began wagging from sheer joy.
You're so much like my grandma.
Athos giggled.
Just hilarious. She scolds us the same way and then treats us to pies. We know she loves us no matter what.
Pies?
Tosha exclaimed.
Well, we haven't thought of that yet, but we can give a good whack with the tail.
Interesting. How do you know she loves you? She doesn't even have a tail.
Dosha asked curiously. Athos, catching her breath from laughter, replied,
We don't need tails. If we feel something, we just say it to each other. And by the way, I'm not in it. I'm a she, he. I'm a human. A girl. And more precisely, an adult woman.
Dosha's tail nearly fell off from the affection and laughter.
Look at this grown-up.
She laughed heartily.
Well, yes.
Athos replied calmly.
Cosmic dragons live for millions of years, but a human lives for about 100. I'm already 25. So I'm an adult. It's no surprise I have my own spaceship.
Yes, Mom.
Vitalia interrupted.
Just look at this spaceship. Only very smart beings could have built it. On Earth, they're called humans.
Vitalia said excitedly, wagging her tail. They continued chatting for a long time about this and that, while Grindar, never taking his eyes off Eartha, felt his heart fill with a feeling he had never known before.
I don't want to part with this mini humanling,
he thought, sighing sadly.
But I can't keep her here against her will either. What should I do?
And Mama Dosha occasionally glanced at him with her wise blue eyes, knowing exactly what was happening in her youngest son's heart. Eartha had spent a lot of time with the cosmic dragons and finally announced that she needed to return home.
My parents are very worried. I've flown too far from Earth, and my signal isn't reaching them. I really don't want to part with you,
she said, turning her sweet little head toward Grindar. He wagged his tail, not even realizing that his feelings had long been known to everyone, including Eartha. After all, she had spent so much time with the dragons.
Eartha,
Mama Dosha suddenly said, gently swaying her tail.
Thank you, dear, for visiting us. We are the builders of the universe, and it was important for us to know that we are creating something useful, beautiful, and joyful. I want to give you a gift from all of us, not just as a memory but as a way to stay in touch with us. What do you call it on Earth? A phone? Yes, but my phone looks a little different. I'll give you a ring.
Dosha took out an enormous ring and showed it to Eartha. The girl looked at the ring with surprise and irony, as it was 10 times larger than her spaceship.
Thank you, Mama Dosha.
Eartha smiled.
But it seems your ring is too big, and I won't be able to.
But Dosha interrupted her.
You will. Put on your spacesuit and come out of your capsule. Oh, how unusual. I mean, come out of your ship.
Eartha smiled playfully and did as Dosha the Dragoness instructed. When she was outside the ship, Grindar extended his large paw, and she carefully stepped onto it. Grindar's heart began to beat so strongly that his paws started to tremble, and Eartha lost her balance and fell.
Oh. Sorry.
Muttered the strongest and most agile dragon in the universe in a tone as if he were the weakest creature in the world. Eartha smiled.
Stretch out your hand and touch the ring,
Mama Dosha said. Eartha reached out, and Dosha gently touched the ring to her glove. In that very moment, the ring began to shrink, and within seconds, a beautiful emerald ring, perfectly sized, lay on her glove.
Well, there we go,
said Mama Dosha.
Now go back to your ship, and put the ring on your finger.
Eartha did just that.
Wear it on your ring finger, and when you want to talk to us, or anyone else, Put it on your middle finger. Think about who you want to talk to. Turn it 3 times, and the connection will be established.
So I can talk to my parents right now.
Arthur asked excitedly.
Of course.
Dasha replied.
Try it. Let them know you're safe and will be home soon.
Arthur looked at Dasha questioningly.
Yes, yes. Soon, Grindar will take you straight to Earth. First, so the bullies don't bother you. Second, so your parents won't worry. And third, I think Grindar will build himself a hideout on the moon so he can always be close to you. Grindar, what do you think about that?
Grindar happily wagged his tail.
Well, it's settled then. Just don't forget, son, you have parents to visit at least once every million years.
Grindar nodded, scooped up the glass capsule, and darted off toward his new life, right by Arthur's side. In the boundless vastness of space so bright, where stars burn clear like a veil of light, Grindar and Arthur found their way. Through shadow and shine, together they stay. Like a balm from ballads, so timeless and true, love and courage in their hearts grew. In friendship's embrace, for the glory of good, may their path be bright, as it always should. Like a fairy tale, like a magical dream, the ring of love in silence does gleam. Arthur rushes homeward bound, enjoying the universe, vast and profound. Grindar will build his haven on the moon, where vandals dare not approach anytime soon. He'll stand beside her, forever near, Grindar, her guiding star so clear. Each heart, like a star, shines in the night, glowing and warming, a distant light. And even in darkness, deep and long, together they found friendship strong. Farewell for now, but not for long, we'll meet again where the roads belong. For in our hearts, the light won't pass, our story is forever, a tale of us.